Well, welcome to part 2 of how the voice works, and so we're going to take a closer look at the voice box or larynx and those things in your mouth which help you make certain words. So the important thing to start with is the collection of things down here in the throat that are commonly called or referred the larynx or the voice box, and you can see just about here is the central part of it, which is or the vocal cords itself, which are just two bits of rubbery muscle that vibrate as the air flows through the trachea. That's pushed out by the diaphragm acting on the lungs, and when the air passes over the vocal cords, they vibrate very much like the strings of a guitar or a violin, and when they vibrate, depending on the speed of that vibration, then that gives your voice its unique pitch or tune or note. So the faster your vocal cords vibrate, then usually the higher the pitch or note of the voice, and the slower those vocal cords vibrate, the lower the pitch of your voice. So if your vocal cords vibrate, then the air is voiced as it goes into your mouth, and as it passes up through the mouth, it obviously, if you just let it, will just escape straight out of your mouth. But if you put other things in front of the air, it obviously changes the way the air behaves. So you've got 3 points of articulation, well, 3 major ones in your mouth that give you certain sounds. There are actually quite a few more, but we'll just start off talking about the major ones, which are the tongue, of course, here, the teeth, which are over here, and of course your lips. Okay. Now, for example, if you wanted to make the sound P with your mouth, that needs your lips to come together and then suddenly release. So that is a lip sound. Okay. So you put your lips together and then release them in a sudden rush of air. Usually creates the sound P. Incidentally, B is just the same as P, but it has a bit of a voice behind it, as opposed to P, which doesn't have any voice in it. B is the same kind of sound, but it has a voice behind it. Now, if you wanted to do another sound, like T, for example, that requires a combination of 2 things. So it requires your tongue just to slip up and meet just behind the teeth here, so that it sounds a bit like t, 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 and that is the sound of your tongue meeting your teeth. So to make a T sound, you have to have tongue plus teeth working together, and that's the same as a D sound, but the only difference between a T and a D is that in the T sound you don't really hear the voice as much, whereas in the D sound it is more pronounced. So by combining all of these various points in the mouth, you can create a range of different sounds. You can even create sounds with your glottis down here. So for example, if you've ever heard of a Londoner saying bottle instead of bottle, that is because instead of the T sounds, which they should be making, they're actually making a kind of explosion of air in their glottis, by air building up behind the glottis and then suddenly being released into the mouth, and that's called a glottal stop. So all of these things together, the glottis, the tongue, the teeth, the lips, and the roof of the mouth, are all points in which you can change the air and make different sounds.